In today's edition of Messing Around with AI, I'm excited to learn about Cursor, a brand new IDE, code editor environment. I'm a VS Code kind of guy, and I've enjoyed the Copilot feature on it that I was able to chat with, do completion and thing. But I'm really interested in an AI first code editor. So let's start from scratch on this. Today's project, what I'm going to do is build the objective list. I'm going to try and use this new IDE to start on a project I'm looking at for an objective communication tool and statusing for teams. Let's jump right in. Cursor.sh. I did read briefly about the team behind it and their vision. I'm really interested in it. They say it's early days and it's a small team, but they did get some decent funding, so I'm really excited about their prospects in the future. While I am going to download for Windows, it is available for Mac and Linux, it looks like. And download. While we're looking for that download, which is actually flying along, under pricing, we see, I did take a peek at this. Free tier is really limited by the number of GPT-4 uses. So really, they balance it across not just 3.5 completions, but also GPT-4 completions. But they also have slow and fast tier. Even on the $20 a month paid tier, they have 500 fast GPT-4 uses per month. But at that tier, you do get unlimited slow GPT-4 and unlimited 3.5. Don't know why you would prefer that one. And then I'm kind of confused by the unlimited Copilot++ completions. I don't know how that fits in with this. Maybe we'll see in our travels. And then over on the business tier, $40 per user per month. Looks like the main thing that it's offering is privacy and centralized billing. Interesting. They did have a privacy statement as well. So I'm not concerned about it right now. I'm trying to get into the code, jump into this thing, and see what's what. So we'll be starting out with the free tier, see how far that gets us down the road. 119 megabyte download for the installer. And it looks like it launches directly into the application, right into Cursor. Clean interface. Dark mode, thank you. Has a few keyboard layouts. I see Vim and Emacs, but I'm going to go with default VS Code since that's familiar to me. Language. So interesting. Compute embeddings for codebase-wide questions. The way I'm reading this is, do you want me to create embeddings for your entire code base to search against? So I wonder if it's vectorizing all of your code with this. And continue. Let's get some extensions. Instantly import your extension settings and key bindings from VS Code. Oh man, this is probably grabbing all my Flutter goodness. That's awesome. That is really good user design, making a soft transition from VS Code into Cursor. So I have my GitHub Copilot integration, and that's what I've been enjoying. But this is actually offering for me to use my GitHub Copilot, but it's also offering me to utilize Cursor's Copilot++. Evidently, that's what Cursor's Copilot++ is. It's their integration for chat, but it also does midline completions and full diffs. So I'm definitely going to go with their suggested default to find out about it. Since this isn't too sensitive a thing, help improve Cursor is the way to go. But come on, they got little animated sparkles on everything. It's a really refined interface. I guess that $8 million funding round has already shown results. And to avoid abuse on our back end, we ask that you log in. So I do need to create an account. I will sign in up here. Continue with Google. So I did a standard login, and it very clearly shows how many requests I've done of each of the free tier quota for the month. Switch back over, log in, and I may proceed back to Cursor. Now I could open a folder, but I did see under File, New AI Project. What do you want to build? Oh, this is promising because this is the kind of quick launch that I wanted to see. I want to be as accurate as possible, see how far it can get me. All right, I do not know how capable this is, so I put in a very concise yet pretty thorough description of what I'm looking for. We will see how far down the road this gets us. We got a destination selection. I'll go for an objective folder. Project name is objective-list. Done. This all looks very familiar for VS Code. Over here on the right side, we have generating project. Step 0, compute project structure. This is really interesting. If they have actually made a type of agent that can do something productive and make a code project, we have really made an advancement. To structure the Flutter web application, need to consider functionality. 1, create the pubsec YAML. Okay. Create main.dart, objective.dart. Under models, oh, this is nice. I'm reading down the description of things to do, and it's following its own to-do list. And it's just cranking out code on the left side. This is what we've been looking for from our agents, right? Well done. First blush, I am impressed. It's creating the objective model file, the action model file. It put it under the models folder. Really, I just have all the time in the world to describe this to you, but it's following its own to-do list. Objective editor Dart. So it's actually doing pages for the editing, because I put in that description of, hey, I would like to have, of course, a page where I can add and edit the objects that are involved, and it is just going full tilt. I'm really curious how far this is going to go. It's putting together a lot of the things. I did not specify Riverpod for my state management, and I did not specify it. Otherwise, it might have gone down that route for me. But if using the basic Dart Flutter state and it gets it done, that'll be cool. I don't know if it is done generating. No, it's down here. You can see it on the sidebar that's just cranking. Holy cow, this is so much code. I'm impressed. From 0 to a project. Like, I'm not holding my breath that this sucker will launch without error after it is done, but I'm just impressed how much of the body of this it's putting together for me. I have been somewhat pessimistic about the state of the art for completing projects. You see folks that are testing out agents and LLMs and Mixtral and trying to get it to generate a real project like Snake, which it has in its training data, and it's failing on it. Now, I'm not expecting this to flawlessly execute, but this is really the first time that I have been impressed with code potentially living up to its promise. And look at the auto-completion on it. That was fun. For a minute, you saw the auto-completion being calculated ahead of it. While it was generating, I don't know, man. I'm just kind of speechless on this. It is cranking through. Let me catch up and see what it's creating. It has the pages well organized too. This is real code. I'm really feeling the future. I mean, maybe I will feel gaps in this, but this is early days for this. This is going to be a game changer. I'm kind of curious if it is going to tell me, bing, I am done. But I suppose what I could do is go over here to the window right beside it. Look at this output. Oh man, this is amazing. Okay, yeah. Step 0, make the project structure. And it laid out what it needed to do. Step 1, find related files. So it went through each of the steps. And if I keep scrolling down here at the bottom, step 25, all done. So here's the status window for it. This is impressive. The most coherent generation that I've seen for code ever out of large language models. Even if this did nothing more, this would be an impressive tool. Is this actually built on the JetBrains editor? It has to be, because it's 2 VS Code similar. So there's obviously a lot of errors on it. A cool 204 problems. Before I do anything else, let me flip back over to my profile on the web page. And if I refresh my usage, yeah, that sounds about right. I've used 25 out of my 50 slow GPT-4 requests and 2 out of my 200 3.5 turbos. I don't know, man. This is really promising. I might have to spring for the personal paid tier on this to see how things go. And it's not going to be worse than this. Going back to the pricing. So while you're limited 500 fast GPT-4 uses per month, you do have unlimited slow ones. But that's not going to be any worse, because the free tier only utilizes slow GPT-4 uses. So what I saw flying through on generation was already slow generation. So it doesn't get any worse than this for the paid, and it would be unlimited. I am almost certainly going to sign up for a paid account on this. I will have overlap, no doubt, on GitHub Copilot, but I just might be switching. I did see down here, open an AI key. If you prefer not to upgrade, you can enter your OpenAI key to use Cursor at cost. How cool is this? Not only do you have a very useful free tier, I mean, it just generated a majority of my project, and if it did nothing else, it has so much, not just boilerplate, but the full usable structure. And I'll dig into it more. But just at first glance, oh, there's a services folder, custom widgets that it separates out. So sophisticated. I mean, it is GPT-4, but we're not dealing with Angular here. This was a Flutter project. Back to the matter at hand, though, not only are they awesome with their having a free tier and their pricing is reasonable, but they also are so cool that they offer that, hey, you plug in, where is it? In the editor. To start, hit the gear in the top right of the editor. And we scroll down, OpenAI API key. If you prefer not to upgrade, put in your key and you pay for it yourself. But I'm curious what the cost on those 25 requests that it just put through to generate this. I'm curious what that would have cost out of pocket. But I'm so impressed with offering this as a capability. They are really striking me as having goodwill. I'm going to do a file save all on these guys. It is not picking up on the material library. And let's open up main as a good place to start. I feel like I should know why it's not finding the material library, but let's use this opportunity to see if I can get search to help. I do not know what the shortcuts are, but right here, AI fix in chat. Oh, of course, I'm freaking thinking of it right away that I probably need to run get packages on PubSpec. It's coming to me. I wonder if that's what it's busy telling me over here. Check PubSpec, rub pub up. Yes, thank you. Man, I do feel silly on that. Get packages. Restart the IDE. See, this is the quality one that caught my eye. I have had issues where dependencies are blown apart, and it really does take just closing and opening the IDE. So let's do that real quick. Launches quickly. I still have my chat window up on the side. Let's check this bad boy, Flutter SDK path. All right, how about this? I'm going to put my pride aside because I'm feeling rather silly why it is doing an error on the import for material. So in the name of science, I swear I'm very good at Flutter. I'm going to embrace the ignorance and try and solve all my red squiggle issues using the power of AI. That's the new experiment. Can we get this thing in a compiled and visible and maybe even functional to spec state using only artificial intelligence corrections? So let me see if I can find my chat history, which is right here, previous chats. Excellent interface, so smooth. I can't say enough good things. One thing I noticed over in the chat window is the More tab, and it has settings for the AI. Copilot++, all of these are beta or even alpha level features, but you can enable and disable them. Copilot++ for the auto completion is enabled, but interpreter mode is disabled. And then at the bottom, code base indexing. So this is where I believe it's doing RAG, retrieval augmented generation, across your whole database. It's creating vectors for your code across the project in order to more intelligently search it and bring it into context. This is probably where a lot of the power comes from. Excellent call. I'm going to go to the terminal and run Flutter Doctor because it said for me to do that. No issues found. Check PubSpec. Dependencies Flutter SDK Flutter. Run Flutter pub get. So I think what we're seeing is it looks like there is a version clash on it, and that's probably keeping PubSpec from doing the get. So allow me to, oh goodness, this is so slick. I'm in the terminal, I select this text, but as soon as I highlighted it, boom, over here, add to chat. Don't mind if I do. I'll just hit enter on that guy. Yeah, it's a version conflict. Override the dependency. You know what? Let's go quick and dirty. I'm going to take it up on its suggestion to do dependency overrides. It, of course, picked up reorderable list because it's enabling that functionality for dragging and dropping the priority on the objectives. Man, this is good. I'm calling it right now. You're this deep into it. Like, you can hear me out, but I'm calling it right now. You need to go and download Cursor and experiment with it, especially if you're a VS Code user. This is just zero transition pain. Everything's familiar, but the capabilities of how they've integrated just ye old GPT-4, I think. There's nothing that really says that it's different than that, but how they integrate it, how they prompted it, how they're potentially even using some sort of vectorization across the code base to understand what's going on. All of it is impressive and awesome. And this is early days on this. You definitely have to go and experiment with this if you're a coder. I mean, heck, let's lower that bar. If you ever have wanted to make a project and don't feel like you can implement it, you're not the kind of developer or coder that you need to be to make it happen yourself, go and get this tool. Chat with AI. See how far down the road you can get. But I will follow through and get this, if I can, running using only AI help to resolve the errors on the code that it generated. All of this generated from scratch. I want to see this. I keep asking. I'll try and talk less and do more doing, but I keep asking every time a code developing agent project comes out on GitHub. I'm like, show me the money. I want to see actually develop a real project. And this is a project I literally need built. And it was a dual impetus on something to test drive Cursor out on. And I swear I'm going to get this running just on its own code, and it's going to have dynamic functionality. And I'm back from the tangent. I should have in my clipboard where I can override these. I think I can slap it anywhere. At least I will do so and ask questions later. Save the file, pub get, and if we look at the output, all the dependencies are there. Many red squiggles still exist, but I am going to, on a whim, close the editor and come back in. I have definitely seen that. I have tried to resolve dependency errors for way too long after pubspec builds. And it turns out I'm at my wit's end. I turn it off and turn it back on. Let's get the linter to pick back up and give me all the red squiggles. Yes. There's the analyzing. All right. We are definitely in a better place. Main is clear. It knows what Flutter material.dart is, which is awesome. So we resolved that error. We got some files that are not totally borked. Let's go down our problem list, see what's what. International. Why don't you know international? So it seems like the main issues that we're running into out of the gate are pubspec related, and it doesn't look like it's international. I think you do have to add that to pubspec, right? I'm bringing some knowledge to this, some experience, shall we say. Let's frame this right. So what I'm going to try and do is nuke this entirely. Here's the predictive text. This, I haven't run into this yet. Copilot++, so the auto completion. But I'm seeing in line we have the autocomplete from Copilot++, and you do a hover and sure enough, turn off Copilot++. So that's what's generating that line. But even before I did import, it was doing an entire off to the side code block. Tab? Oh, yeah, tab is what it does. And that's kind of what they were saying, is that when the code pops up, you hit tab and accept it. And evidently it did a demonstration. You can poke around their website, which is also slick. Again, $8 million in funding, but man, I feel like they're doing good stuff for that. That doesn't sound like a lot of money for what they are cranking out. And the team, I looked at them, and man, they are young and they are capable and they're killing it here. So how do I do it on international again? Why am I wasting effort? Let's burn one of our limited AI fix in chat. I like the integration with the Copilot here. Maybe I didn't get as familiar as I was in standard VS Code Copilot, GitHub Copilot, but it's just more intuitive because I'm already able to bounce around and search on things. Before I would be, copying it and going to the side, or there was some context goodness, but I feel like this is much more intuitive for my flow. We are actually going to be left with a project that's in a good state. Now, here's the money. Let's see what the result was. We started with nothing. We gave it a detailed prompt. Let's see how much it's done. I mean, the structure is there. I haven't poked at the code. Oh, it's exciting. Let's launch this in the web browser. Add the web platform to it. Yes, please. That would be delightful. Thank you. Well, it is, I'm trying to add web to this thing. So allow me to take this error. I didn't think I misnamed it. That's on me. Set your pride aside and ask AI. How do I rename an existing project? And I'm going to say in VSCode. Yeah, that was a rookie move on my part, not naming the project underscore. But I will follow the steps as described. And we are back. Objective underscore list. Widget test. What? You added a widget test? Where'd that come from? You're being very proactive there. What you mad at, son? Oh, the objective list app. You know what? I can fix this. Don't worry about it, test. I got you. I don't know where the warnings were before, but that's okay. I can clean them up. You know what? I don't need to. We're in a green state. I'm going to try and build this sucker. So we're going to do it on Chrome. Hit me with it. And let's push play. Let's push play. Where are you? Oh, such excite. There's a difference. That's something I'm not used to, is the menus in the top left, but that's fine. We found the run button. We are selected to Chrome. We're going to run and debug, and we're going to behold the marvels of what we just created. I genuinely do not know what's going to come up when this runs. Bring that window over. Where are you at, buddy? Waiting for the connection. Here it is. Objective list. Oh, sad panda. This is a very empty page. All right, well, it did launch a Flutter page. I'll give it that much, but I know that it has a whole lot more code backing this up. How to proceed? I think I will take a peek into the files real quick and see the app bar. Where's your button? Oh, the button is the... Wait, yes? Oh, goodness. Oh, well, that's a problem. Can I cancel? Can I go back? Does it... Oh, there's functionality here. Come on, let's go. I'm going to try and adopt Let's Go because everyone of all ages now uses it. Let's Go is everywhere. I mean, if BattleBots uses it, I have to be good. So the color is wrong. Where are we at? Throw a theme. I know where the theme is, but what I'm going to do is use AI to change the color. Can you create a dark color theme and apply it to the pages, please? And so the beauty of this, it has the code blocks that it generates in chat, but instead of just being like copy, which it does have, of course, it has apply. The power of this thing, the fluidity, this truly is the future. They have got so far down the road already. And I haven't even gotten to the part, I don't even know how to do what the gentleman was demonstrating in the video, that he was in the code and he would launch mid-code, he would launch a cursor with a prompt to do a change, and then he would scroll somewhere else and just let it rip in the background, and he could keep launching these little instances of changing the code, and they would act independently like agents, but it functioned. It's already here. I've used this thing for 10 minutes effectively, and I am a fan. I was so busy talking, I've sidelined on the whole apply button over here. So I'm going to apply the theme. It's going to do the codes. Look at it crank, and it does it in context. I don't have to copy this and override a theme or create a file. It does the code change. I am blown away. So it did bring in, I do need to change this here. No, that's my name. Do I need to import? Import, please. Oh, do I need to accept all of them? Yes, accept. Sorry, I forgot the part where I accept them all. So it makes all the proposed changes, highlights them all, and then you just accept them. So if I do a save on that and a hot reload, and it's dark, but this button's hiding, but I will do add. The objective is for viewers of the video to download and try Cursor. You need to go and try this. After all, look right below. Status, active or closed. Like, the drop downs work. The form, is it rocket surgery? No, but this was generated from nothing. 0. Priority 1. And I will add, is that what this button does? It created an objective. Let's create another objective. Does the drag and drop work? What's this? Show menu, edit, ink. Oh my God, come on. Come on. I'm like, oh, it's not dragging and dropping, which is something I asked for. That's fine. But if this works here, drag and drop, does it work? No, probably not. But the drop down menu's here. and I could probably edit it. I'm yes, I could probably edit it very well. Drag and drop, increase priority. Did it work? Did it work? I don't know. Did it decrease priority? So it doesn't seem to be refreshing for that, and I don't have the drag and drop functionality, but come on, it's doing a thing. It has an action button that adds an objective to it, and this is the objective list, and I can dig in here, the home page. I can look at this now that this is all structured out, add a new objective, edit the object, delete the objective, action editor. I mean, this is a success. Call it. Like, subscribe, and smash all the things. I just call it a day right now. But I'm going to have it add the missing columns because I'm not seeing them here anywhere. Yeah. So I think this was what I saw on the web page, is that I used to do GitHub Copilot. I would add a comment and say, do this thing, and then it's autocomplete after that would do the code. But I just started typing in plain text. So if I do a tab on it, it replaced my text. So I need to fix this in AI chat. And it was sitting there and it was using a slow action. It actually showed my position in a queue. That was the first time that I noticed that it had been in a slow queue waiting to come to the top. So I probably wouldn't have that, even though all of these requests have been quote unquote slow GPT-4 responses from my quota. I haven't seen it go to a queue until that moment. So it's telling me to remember to do things, but I don't think I need to remember to do crap. I'm just going to hit apply, and hopefully it will wabam. And is it going through the code? Build objective list, return. Yep, there it goes. So it just was a simple edit up top, and it's going through and modifying the build objective list code. And I'm going to accept that because that was delightful. I'll do a restart on it, not that it matters. So there is a red screen error of doom. Debug console, here we go. It's getting late, but I really want to see this go through. So let me see if I can figure out what we're dealing with here. Boop. All right, let's try that. Run and debug, please. See, what happened was I got to a state where I am working with pieces that are already defined and moving them around. I'm like, oh, this isn't showing the action. So I'm modifying it. Obviously, there's a big break on it right now. Actually, I don't think there is. It just doesn't have any objectives. If you're still hanging with me, God bless you. I'm doing Flutter things now. I'm getting a little more comfortable with the autocomplete on it. So it was having the error on incorrect use of parent data widget, and then asked the chat about it. And I generated the code, and it took a hot minute, but it got it right. It did not stall out, and it did generate the code. Do a hot restart, and there's my fab finally. Nice. Do some dummy data in here. Okay, it is way too late. I had a lot of fun with this guy, and this is messing around with AI, not, hey, look at this brilliant thing I did. Bottom line, I am blown away by the capabilities of Cursor and how they've integrated the AI. Final count for everything that I did. And it's probably a good time to stop because I have used 47 of my 50 slow request quote. I'm pretty much tapped out on my GPT-4 requests. That being said, I have the code base that is structured. It has all the base files well organized, all from a base prompt to nothing. Any problems that I ran into, I asked and got assistance for. And I've gotten to this point where I definitely can create objectives. I know that the editing for actions is there. It has dynamic behavior. I obviously have broken something in the objective on the home page to see the view, but we did see the cards for the objective list when it first populated. So much functionality has come out of this, and this is putting me in this brilliant place where I can go through with my skill set and I'll find what's missing. But how much time does this save? Can I set up all of these? Can I organize it this way? Okay, for one, this is kind of how I organize things. This is exactly how I would want it as a best practice. Broken out by widgets, pages, the services separately. This is how I'd like to organize it. Could I have done that? Yes, and created all these things, but the huge time saver on it. I was learning the user interface from scratch with no references in real time while I did this, and it built it up. And I don't know how much time this saved me. Can I do this part? Yes, this doesn't look like a new capability that I don't have, but how much time did it save me? And did it get me to the finish line? I mean, AI got me to it running, and I could I guarantee I can keep prompting it and resolve the things I have. At this point, though, it's done so much of the groundwork. I know that the pieces are there, that here's the objective that goes on the row in the list builder, and here's where the two actions are supposed to go. And I will ask for assistance from the AI. I'm going to sign up for the $20 plan here because I want to keep using this and experiment with it. I highly, highly recommend that you come and get the free account and dip your toes in it. I think you'll be joining me with it. When they say this is the worst it gets, this is usually a content creator saying, man, I'm sorry this demonstration sucked, but this is money. An update, I used up all my chat completions on GPT-4, not just fast, but across the board, and you have to upgrade on this. You just do. GPT 3.5, it's a trash experience. If we look at my chat history here real quick, we see back when I was stuck on 3.5, the code completion blocks would not have the apply that they do now. That really awesome feature I love, that when you do apply and it plays out line by line and generates it interleaved, shuffled into the lines that it needs to, that worked somewhat, but the big difference was that it would only, under 3.5, it would only apply to the current file. Just like good old GitHub Copilot. It's only when you go to the GPT-4 level, which you can only have a sustainable amount of uses through the Pro account, is when you have this apply button that applies across all the fields. Another cool thing is if you do 1 billion changes to it and accept them all across the board, one Control-Z undoes the whole thing. So I sprung for the upgrade and I regret nothing. I was having a blast earlier and I was trying to finish up getting my application working and dropped into 3.5, and it was painful. It was frustrating. But I did spring for the $20, worth it. What I want to do an experiment on is, if we look at, I've used 18 of my 500 fast GPT-4 requests. So if I go over and create a new chat, there's this little drop down that allows you to select from GPT 3.5, 4, and cursor fast. So my theory is, if I put this to GPT-4 and ask it to do something, by the way, this is the current state of my app. I've been changing the code on it. So the foundation was there, as I said before, but I actually had to use my experience in development with Flutter in order to get the functionality I had. But it laid so much of the groundwork, so much of the grunt work on it. But this is where it currently stands. So I'm going to go to cursor in the chat, and we're seeing this here in real time. It's moving through on it. And my question is this a fast generation, since I chose that GPT-4 from the dropdown? But I ended up, it used 19 of my requests. So even though I put the message dropdown to GPT-4, it did not do a slow generation. So is cursor fast a lighter weight but much speedier version? Let's ask the same question in a new chat. We saw it go in real time there, which was a bit painful. Control L to do a new chat. Put in the same prompt, use cursor fast. Now let's see how this thing moves. I mean, it is booking through. So I wonder if it's a custom lighter weight cursor model? Is there a limitation on it? Is this a secret feature? I have questions. But that was very rapid. Let's compare the code that it had. Here's a comparison between the two code generations. And I am seeing some differences. I am picking up on a difference between the different capabilities of models. If we look at GPT-4, in the code window, it spells out apply. And if I do that, it generates over the code and goes line by line, and it gives us the diff, and we can accept each of those changes or all of them together. Go over to what we generated with the cursor model, which is lighter weight, so goes my theory, and it only has the play button to apply, but it doesn't give us diffs. It's less capable. It doesn't do it line by line. And this is what I was seeing with GPT 3.5 when I got throttled down for using my GPT-4 free period. And this is what was much more annoying because I didn't get that feedback. I didn't have that capability. And that's why I'm glad that I upgraded. And it also explains what we're dealing with here. We have GPT 3.5, GPT-4, which will always run in fast mode if you have capability left, and then a cursor fast. I may have to look into that more. That was a worthwhile sideline, I think. That was really informative for me, and now I understand what this generation is. Really, you need GPT-4 on this. It's not surprising, but how capable it is. It's not just about intelligence. It's about how it's baked in, how it's leveraged, how it's applying code across all your files. It'll pick up across multiple files. It will give you these detailed diff statements. Upgrading is a must. So here we are, about 2 days and maybe 6 work hours later, 4 to 6 hours. I have no problems, no warnings. I cleaned everything up and I got all the functionality working, and I present to you, boom, objective list. What features do you have? We can stick around after the video, but we have such things as, for each objective, we have next actions and we have done actions. And once we complete an action, we can boop, put them over to done. We can edit, delete, increase and decrease priority. So these dynamically shuffle themselves around. You can add an objective on its own screen. You can use the fab to add an objective, and then within that, you can add an action, both of which are on their own screen. I spent some time tweaking the appearance on it and what the information was underneath, but this is almost to the point, at least from a user interface perspective, as a min-viable product. So what's the final takeaway with my time messing around with Cursor, especially since I have some more extended time actually doing work and making a functioning product, if you will? The first point is that if you're running VSCode with GitHub Copilot, then Cursor with Copilot++, which is ultimately GPT-4, is the same, but better. If for no other reason, it's able to vectorize and draw from across your entire code base. And when you have generation of code, you can intelligently apply it across one or more files. In standard GitHub Copilot prompts, I believe it is only drawing from the current file that you have open. And the big difference here, you have copy, insert into new file, insert terminal. The best you have is insert at cursor. It'll plunk the entire code that was generated into the file that you have. And it will definitely not build from scratch your entire file structure and pre-populate your project right from the get-go, from a single prompt. And like other AI code tools, Cursor allows you to handle a lot of the repetitious and grunt work in projects. And it really up-levels what you do as a programmer to solve real problems and to make design decisions. But like all AI generative code tools right now, they will only get you so far on non-trivial projects. Cursor I'm excited about because it got me so much further down the road than I expected to be able to, before it ran into bugs that I had to use my experience to solve. And there was a lot of design decisions that I implemented and functionality that I fixed or put in, usually fixed. The code was there, it just wasn't functioning as expected. So it's kind of a power tool, but it takes directing on your part. As one example that stood out, the generated code imported provider as a state management tool, but it was never set up or utilized. It used simple set state, which was functional and may be appropriate for this application. Maybe the best way to put it is that Cursor is that 80% solution, but to really get things completed and turn them into a working product as you intended, at least currently, it takes a human in the loop. So you already know the answer to the question, do I recommend going out and trying Cursor? Absolutely. I will reiterate that upgrading to Pro for $20 a month is absolutely necessary. in my opinion. GPT-4 is a integral part to what's happening here. Over the course of developing this, as I said, I don't know, maybe 6 hours put into it or so, I utilized 46 of my 500 monthly pro uses. And keep in mind, that was on top of the 50 slow GPT-4 uses that I got for free before I ran out. So close to 100 prompt uses to get the project where it's at currently. But I will say my use slowed down on it because I have so much of the base functionality there. It's a lot more to that last 20% or whatever fraction of the effort it is that takes the human touch. But it's just a delightful experience to not have to go through the drudgery. If there's a change that will affect a lot of places or is just kind of a pain or I don't remember how to do it, I'll throw it into the chat and have it run the conversion. So I feel confident in going with the pro plan for now, and I will be canceling GitHub Copilot. So go out and try Cursor. I can only imagine that you'll appreciate it as much as I do, and happy coding. For those who want to hang around, I'll give you a quick rundown of Objective List, the MVP that I built using Cursor during this time. And it is a functional app to the vision that I was picturing of an objective and task tracking and communication tool for teams that's lightweight but very powerful. The main limitation to its current state of affairs is that it is not hooked up to a database of any kind. It's entirely holding values in memory. But I'm confident I'll quickly be able to take the next step of hooking up to dynamic storage, especially with the help of Cursor. In the objective list, we have an objective, which is a positive statement of your goal or vision. This is the objective card that describes at the top level the object. It has a title, so you can quickly reference it. And then underneath it has the description or the actual objective. Objectives have actions. Being that this is kind of a getting things done by David Allen inspired approach, it really only tracks the very next action that you take in order to further this objective. It keeps from having a lot of overhead in maintaining it. Each action has the description of what it is, and there's a committed person to it, and the created date. How long has this been hanging out? Of course, when John publishes the review video for team feedback, that task will be done, and through the arrow button, it'll kick it over to the done action column. And you may be asking how we close out the objective itself now that all its actions are completed. With the little drop-down menu, we can edit the objective, and we can choose from closed from the drop-down and save that. I'm just now realizing that we do not have the view limited to just active objectives or split out in some way. So what I'll do is take advantage of another feature, which is the priority. So if I decrease the priority, we can actually move this closed objective to the bottom. The Fab button can add a new objective using the same form page that we used to edit. And here's our new task at the bottom, which we can move up in priority. And of course, we can add an action to it as well. So here's our test objective with our test action, which I can edit. And as we saw, move the status over. With this basic functionality, you can clearly prioritize your objectives, show the very next action that needs to occur with an assignee, and communicate at a glance to the whole team what the status of it is and what has been accomplished. This might not be the last you see of the objective list, but I really wanted to create a useful tool during my time testing Cursor out to see if it could make something that was actually functional. This was a vision that I wanted to create for a team that I'm working with, and I think will help a lot of folks out. I will be posting the code to this in GitHub, so if you're so inclined, you can go and see what code my AI counterpart and I created in collaboration. It's been good hanging out with you. If you're so inclined, do all the button mashy things, and have a great rest of the day.